Greetings. I'm back here in my kitchen. I was just out in the gazebo if you watched my video that I recorded previously on the runes. I came back in the kitchen because I wanted to use my Santa Muerte Tarot deck, and the images are so dark. I'm experimenting a little bit. I know I was having trouble showing you the images before. I'm experimenting a little bit with my art light. I have a new art light that I have for doing some close work, specifically for needlework or sewing or for knitting. When I'm out watching television, because the room doesn't have very good lighting in there. So this is supposed to be a natural light. So I was thinking that maybe this would help us see the images a little clearer than we saw them when I was in the parlor in the past. Outside, we had no chance of seeing these images for sure. So, at any rate, I want to remind you, these images are readily available online. You can go after the video and look for yourself at the images. You can also go to my website at bernandthecrone.com. I will leave the link below, and you can not only see the images close up, but you can read my final thoughts on this 3-card spread that I am pulling today. Now, I'm going to do it also a little different. I'm not going to show you the Rider-Waite associated card. We can talk about that a little bit if we want to, but I'm really trying to focus in really a lot on what this deck is really trying to tell me. I have instead the little book that comes with the cards with me, and I'm going to look at that a little bit and see if I need a little bit of help making sure I have the right interpretation of the card. I'm going to look at the cards, and then I'm going to, just like I said in the video before on runes, I'm going to select a rune to try to clarify each card a little more if I can. This is an experiment I have not done before. You are here for the first time doing it with me, so we're going to succeed or fail together. Okay, I did go to I did deal the cards, and I do want to say, if you saw my last video, you heard me say on there, my last tarot video, that it is no use me trying to be random and pick cards, because I'm always given the cards I'm supposed to get. And before I started today, I was just trying to check lighting, and I just dealt out 3 cards on the table, and I said, okay, these cards are not going to be used. I put them after I checked the lighting with my husband and the camera and everything. I put the cards back in the deck and shuffled and shuffled and shuffled and shuffled, and then put the tablecloth down. And I said I didn't want to use those cards because I don't like to put tarot cards directly on a blank table without a cloth of some kind underneath them. That's just a personal quirk that I have. I don't know why. I just don't like to do that. And so I put this tablecloth down, and then I shuffled and shuffled, and I dealt again 3 cards, and the same card came up for the first card again, and it is this. I find it interesting. I'm going to try. I hope that is not glare. It is the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups. Oops. Yep. And I'm hoping to see, I can think there's a glare like that. If I hold it like that, I don't think there's a glare. But I'll see when I edit the video what it looks like. Okay? But it is the chalice with the face of the skull. There's a dragonfly, which I'm sure you cannot see, perched on the rim. There's a frog underneath in the water, and there is rain coming into the chalice and also falling into the water below. Kind of a little similar to what we see in the Journey Through the Wildwood. Kind of reminiscent of that. And reminiscent of the Rider-Waite at the same time. Just looking in the book to see if there's any differences in this. And we want to say that, speaking of the chalices, the very first words to come up for the chalices are emotional center, and it talks about love, and it talks about water. The chalices represent emotional energies and both negative and positive feelings fluid and changeable like the water that characterizes this suit. Vitality, joy, pain, affection, but also memories are elements that identify this vast container that is constantly receiving, the same as what we identify with the concept of the soul. The azure blue color identifies these cards, and the heart and the thoracic cage are the parts of the body that correspond with this suit. I like right now the words that are coming out into getting my attention are the fluidity and the changing of, just like water that characterizes this suit. Changes of emotion, changes of, we can go from joy to pain. Hate, love to hate, can't we? But also that we are constantly receiving. Constantly receiving in this suit is something that is, I don't associate that constant receivingness in the Rider-Waite deck. That's just something that's, even though I'm, where we see the coming into and overflowing into the water in the Rider-Waite deck. But this constant, I find it so interesting in this card. My first impression in looking at the picture is that the chalice is receiving rain, is receiving water, but I do not see it overflowing. Even though there's water below, which is also receiving, our surroundings are also receiving, so our heart is receiving, and our emotions are receiving, our intuition is receiving at the same time as our heart is, let's say, but never more than we can handle, never more than we can you see that? Never more, it never overflows, and we do see it overflowing, we do see it coming over the edge in the Rider-Waite. So I find that really interesting in this card, and also I think in the Journey Through the Wildwood, the cauldron, which is receiving, is also flowing, overflowing. So, interesting, isn't it? Okay, so the ace in this deck, the indications for the ace, representing, of course, the source of emotional life, of receptiveness, of abundance, of the home as both property and as family. This is the arcana of fertility, of metamorphosis, and of fulfilled affections. It can, however, bring with it inconsistency, coldness, a sense of dissatisfaction, and a loss of faith. I find this really interesting because I'm going to be personal. I'm going to be a little personal because remember I said this card was here for me. These cards are for me. It's not a random dealing like we thought I was going to just randomly pick 3 cards. There's no such thing with the tarot. To me, it cannot happen. And it was interesting, the Ace of Cups came up for me because, especially when I bring and I read what they're saying here, how it can also bring with it inconsistency, coldness, a sense of dissatisfaction, and a loss of faith. In the Rider-Waite deck, I really do associate the Ace of Cups usually with maybe even self-love. The concept of it's a new love, but maybe it is a new love of ourselves. And in this, I see a sense of dissatisfaction and a loss of faith, which can also be advised, or be read here, reminded of. And I'm sort of going through, I don't want to get too personal, but I'm sort of going through a period of my time where that is happening with me a little bit. I've had some people make some comments, nothing on here, nothing on YouTube, and this has nothing to do with my family at all. My family's wonderful and healthy and things, and my marriage is fine. and everybody's been really kind to me here on YouTube, etc. But I've had some people, one particular person say to me lately, words to the effect where he wants to, I have to be careful how I say this, to define me in ways that I don't define myself. You know, I'm really proud of the fact that I'm 66 years old, and I really know who I am. And I'm at this point, really the only sadness that I'm really feeling from day to day, if you want to call it sadness, things that are really disappointments that I feel, mostly have to do with people that, you know, that I thought knew me that really don't know me after all. They know me in a way that is not familiar to me. They know me in a way that that's really not how I think I should be known. They misunderstand me, or they see me in you know, a false light, I want to say. And it has led me to having some disillusionments about some of the ways I've been passing my time, that maybe I've been wasting my time in certain parts of my life, that if I'm not really known and not really seen the way I see myself, that maybe my time is wasted there. That's what I want to say. Now, the advice of the dead on this card is, having thought properly about your choices, you will be ready to take on a new phase of creativity and change that will bring something new to light. I find that interesting because there we have an encouraging word. An encouraging word. And I'm going to reach in because I know this is going to be about, I want to see the companion piece, some companion advice through the runes, through the witch's runes. I'm going to use my non-dominant hand, which is my receiving hand, and reach into the runes beside me, which are still in the container they were in outside. I can't see them, and they don't feel the same under my hands, but I have no knowledge of them yet. And it's really going to be when I stop. It's the one that I feel it wants to be picked up. It's not going to be. I'm not going to influence it anyway, and I feel this one. And this one is the star. This one is the star. I will place the rune there on that card. And I'm going to go over to my cards that I just used from my other video. And I'm going to find the star. The star. I hope it didn't blow away, because I can't find the star. Oh, there it is. And here it is. It is, this is what it looks like. In case you couldn't see it outside. Can you see it now? You can see that. The star, right? Pretty straightforward. Okay, and the star says, it's often associated with a wish coming true or a goal being reached. It's a green light to go after what you want. It might indicate my life's purposes, or freedom from troubles, or achieving my dreams. So, if I had a sadness, perhaps, of how I was being viewed, or how I was, or even if it's possible to even hold out faith for what it is I wish to achieve, this is rather encouraging. The star is rather giving that to me pretty clearly, that it might be a good sign. So I'm going to interpret this to say that that card then, which could have been the Ace of Chalices, which can be both, as you see, dealing with dissatisfaction or loss of faith. In this case, I think it is really this finding a new creative phase. Maybe there's a new encouraging, it's something encouraging. It's good news, right? Something good news. We'll see. Let's look at the other cards. Remember, we never look at one card by itself, so we're going to look and see connection to the next card. The second card is the World card. Let's see if I can hold it so it's not glare. I don't know if there's a glare or not. I see everybody else doing this so perfectly on their videos, and mine is so clumsy. Okay, put the world card. And here in the world card we see Santa Muerte herself on her scythe, up sitting on top of the world. And it says, this is what it says in here in the little book about the world. The card of total realization, of expansion and achievement. The world brings with it a slow but constant and determined evolution towards success, fullness, towards one's real personal and professional objectives, as if towards the transformation and discovery of a new balance at the peak of a cycle. Well, that sounds pretty good. That sounds to be pretty encouraging. I'll take that. So I'm going to reach in and I'm going to see what rune I want to associate with this card. I feel like I'm choosing lottery numbers out of here. Okay, this one right here. Ah, romance. Oh my, romance. Let's see what that says. Romance. The romance. Okay, this is a really good, it's a bonding card. It's just like the rings we said before. There's a harmony. This is talking about being harmony, and this is what's sticking out to me. Because a relationship, partnerships, deep emotional connections, mutual love, soulmate or close friendships, marriage, whatever. I have a very, you know me, I've been married for 46 years, and I've been with my husband. I've been in love with my husband for 51 years, since I was 14 years old. I have a very strong bond and relationship. He's my husband and he is my best friend, so no problem there. I don't think I'm getting a new romance or anything. If you look at the Ace of Cups as a new love, it's certainly not with a new husband, because I one husband. But one thing that I'm interested in, when I look at this, which I like a lot right now, is this, one of the characteristics of the romance runes is harmony with a person or group and growing appreciation. And I like that because that is what the issue is with me. It's my relationship with a group who I don't think they see me. They have not seen me the way I've been seeing myself, and I've had somebody else is trying to reinvent me into somebody that it makes me question why I was there at all if I have a need to be reinvented. Make me into somebody new, like the old person's not good enough. Maybe I'm overreacting. Anyway, it's not about that. But anyway, I'm happy to see that this looks very promising. If this is the issue that these cards are trying to talk to me about, that would be that could be a good sign. Because that's a positive. So I see both the star and the romance runes, both very positive runes. One positive because it is very hopeful, and another one positive because it's a very strong bond, which I've had a strong bond with a group of people for a lot of years. I would hate to break that bond at this point, and that's sort of what I was thinking I might have to do. So at the very least, maybe it's telling me that it's not time to break the bond. I'm not sure. Okay, the third card is the Page of Pentacles. Let's see if you can see that. I hope this works because I'd like to use the spotlight for some of these dark cards. I need some way of showing you these dark cards when I'm talking about them at the same time. Okay, the Page of Pentacles is really interesting because it shows the page as a female figure, first of all, and she's reaching into her little bag or something. She's actually putting she's putting the actual gold coin down into her bag. I don't think you can see that, but that's what she's doing. And there's a lot of things around her that have grown up, so it is like she's profited from whatever she has grown, something that she has It looks to me like she's profiting from some of her labor, something she has made. It's the payoff. And here we have the Page of Pentacles. Oh, I'm skipping ahead a little bit because I want to say, I forgot to tell you what the dead were advising me on the World card. I stopped before I got to that. It says, this is what I really liked. I read it before. I read ahead, and it made me think this. But it says, do not give up and do not be afraid. The road you have taken is the right one, and whatever difficulty you find will be brief, and you will achieve the results you desire. So that is what I feel, the encouragement. I have been doing this, been on a path for 20 years. You hate to take 20 years of your life and just flush it away and say, well, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding, Nobody else sees you the way you see yourself, and that's hurtful. That's hurtful. So, and this other person was advising me to go, well, you need to be different. You just need to change yourself. You need to be different. And that was really hurting my feelings, at this point in my life, that I have to redefine my whole self at this point in my life. Not because I wish it, not because I feel like I want it, but because I feel I need it because I'm not good enough. And that was a little hard to take. So when I see the dead here advising me not to give up, I've been on the right road, and that's anything, a bump in the road is a bump in the road. So that makes me feel much better. If that's about this, it makes me feel much better. Now to go on to the Page of Pentacles. What it says about the Page of Pentacles. Okay. The Page of Pentacles, even though in a phase of maturation, brings an impetus towards a positive, affirming search, and with this initiative, good news, and the first, if moderate, earnings. The only risk is that of an excessive lightness, superficiality, and vanity that could bring premature waste and superficial investment. Well, that's a little wordy for me. The Jet advised, carefully evaluate the right moment for acting and invest your resources with the aim of avoiding any type of waste. Okay. That sounds a little, but I feel it. Because the Page of Pentacles to me is the beginning of some, it could be the page being a message, if nothing else. But it has to do with a job or some kind of a vocation or something like that. But it is about timing. And sometimes it's about a message. It's a message brought to you, and how is the message brought to you? But sometimes it also, here it's indicate that not to be light in your, it's guiding us being premature, acting in a premature way. Because the page, remember, is representing the most youthful of whatever, or the newest or the youngest of whatever. Perhaps the what always comes to my mind, but it's cautioning against counting your chickens before they're hatched. You know what I'm saying? There's the caution. Being premature and saying, oh, good, I've got this. I'm not going to just sit back at this point and say, okay, I have been right, and change nothing along the way. Carefully evaluating my situation. Okay. I don't want to waste any more time being misunderstood. And if I have been misunderstood for 20 years or whatever, there's a reason for the misunderstanding. So carefully, it's not enough to just put the coin in the pocket. That's not enough. it's there needs to be more. There's a lot more here to harvest. She's got a lot more here to harvest than that one card Corden stands for. So coin stands for. So she needs to really evaluate her situation, be really careful in her. She doesn't want to waste. She doesn't want to waste what she's grown there, what she has worked, what her job, what she's worked. I'm going to reach for a rune and see what rune I get with my receiving hand again. That's just something I made up. You know, don't write this down and say, oh, this is how we do it. I'm just making it up. This is my receiving hand. This is my power hand. I send out, I receive. I do that with my bracelets, which I have no bracelets on today. But I usually, the energies I want to receive, I draw in with this hand. And what I want to show, what I want to send out, usually in this hand. Unless I'm really trying to work on a balance, which I'm often, you will see me wearing the same thing on both hands. That's an aside, means nothing. But that's one of the reasons that I am using my receiving hand to select. I'm trying to get a message from the dead. So what message am I receiving? I'm filling into the runes to see what I get. And this is what I get. I got a blank. I didn't get a blank. Oh, I got the waves. I got the waves. What did we say about the waves? Okay, this is kind of fun. The waves. A flowing rune associated with movement, emotional, or spirit. Okay. Unclear answers, confusion, passing time, feeling as though you are being passed. Oh dear, didn't I just say that was what my problem was? People don't recognize whatever I have to give. They don't realize that they don't see me in the same light I see myself. I've been told to reestablish, reevaluate what I am and become something that I'm not. Oh, whatever. What is it saying here? Do not rush to decision. Do not rush. Do not be overly confident, right? Do not be overly confident. The Page of Pentacles. Carefully evaluate the right moment for acting. Okay? Do not be vain. Do not be superficial. The dead advise. Do not let your feelings that are a little bit hurt change your ways, change your path. Stand vigilant. What do we do in water? You know, if you fall overboard, the first thing that you learn when you learn how to swim, before you can learn how to swim, you want to do this with children too, but you want to teach them how to stay afloat. You teach them how to float. You can float on your back, right? So you can still breathe, but you can't just lay there and not see what's going on. If you want to go forward, and you can't swim, the first thing that they teach you to do, tread water. You usually do it in this pattern. I think of Dr. Kildare, Ben Casey. No, Dr. Kildare. I don't know which one. It's one of those early things. We used to go the symbols on the blackboard. Birth, death, life, birth, death. Right? I'm rambling, but the last one was infinity. Birth, life, death, infinity, whatever. I don't know what it was. I'll have to look that up. But that's the sign that you make in the water, just moving the waves, cupping your hands, riding the waters, paddling gently with your feet underneath as you're almost standing in the water, treading water. Keeps you upright, you can see, keeps you afloat, people can see you, boats can see you to rescue you, whoever. Tread water. Sometimes people think that they're treading water when they say, oh, I'm just treading water, meaning I'm stuck here, I'm not moving ahead. Okay? But think about it. The waves on this card, the waves. Can you see that? The waves indicate a movement. They don't indicate no movement. They don't indicate a movement being stuck. If we were stuck, we would have gotten the rune. There's a rune that means stuck, right? I would have pulled this rune. Not going forward. I would be stuck, right? But I got the waves, indicating a movement. But it's passing of time. Time is passing. Time will come. It might seem that the answers are unclear right now. It might feel as though I'm being passed over right now. Okay, it might be some confusion. Why has this happened? Does it do any good to figure out why has it happened? I don't think so. I don't think so. But it is waiting until the right time to take action. Avoiding my resources without having them wasted. Worry is a waste of energy. Regret, waste of energy. Hurt feelings, pouting, that's wasted energy. Okay. So this, I'm not sure. I'm going to give this a little more thought. What the reading means, I'm not sure. But I want to say, the purpose of this experiment was to see if I could combine the Witch's Runes with this tarot deck, and I think I'm going to really like that because already, from my past experiences, I feel like I'm getting a clearer message than I got with the cards alone. That's just me. That's just me. That's just me. So, I don't know. I'd like to hear comments if you like about the runes or not. The runes, you thought they were good or not. I don't know. Anyway, and I'd also like to know if any of you are joining me in the adventure with the Santa Muerta Tarot, etc. Okay, stay tuned for more of the series. I remember I'll post a link after I get this up and I write it. I'll post a link to the finished blog post at birdandthecrone.com. And I do have to take 1 minute and say, I'm going to say it again, that I have just made some recent improvements to the blog part of my, at birdandthecrone.com, the blog part of my website, which was so hard to follow because before all of the blog posts were just on one on top of the other on top of the other, the latest one first, and there were all these tarot posts on top. People had to weed through tarot posts to get to a blog post if they wanted to read about one of the Sabbats or something like that, or some of my ideas about other things. I have it organized in a new way. So I'd appreciate it if you could go over there, if any of you are watching, go over there and check out birdandthecrone.com, particularly where it has about the blog, and see if you can see how I've divided up my blog posts into different areas. So it's also easier for you to find perhaps the blog posts that go with these cards. Anyway, I'd like feedback. If anybody wants to give me some feedback, I would appreciate it. Okay, anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm Rebecca, and I wish you blessings.